Hey developers, today we're going to look at creating a contact form using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and we're going to connect it to a backend so we can send emails using Amazon's SES service. And you can see here, I can type my name in here. I can enter a email address. We'll just put a fake one in here, and we'll put a message. Hey, I need to contact you. We can click send at the bottom and it automatically gets sent. It even tells us what's in here. So we're going to do this all today. I'll make sure to put a link to the code below so you can follow along. And also, if you're interested in like these videos, make sure you go ahead and click the subscribe button and thumbs up. That helps me. Oh yeah, and before we get it too far, let's have a quick word from our sponsor. The very first website I ever created was back during my high school days using a very old Packard Bell computer and hosted on GeoCity. It was for a classroom assignment and I got an A. That really opened up my curiosity on computers and led me to major in computer science in college. But did you know that in the US, only 47% of public high schools even offer computer science classes? And out of the 219 countries out there, only 73% are either only piloting computer science in high school or doing nothing at all. I truly believe that computer science and tech education can change someone's life. Our sponsor, .tech Domains, along with Namecheap, are donating 100% of their sale proceeds to code.org, who are helping every student in every school have the opportunity to learn computer science. I believe that everyone should get a chance to follow their passion in tech. And if you feel the same way, show your support by visiting go.tech/codewitheric or click the link in the description below to know more and do your bit to make a difference. All right, so as you can see here is the contact form that we're going to create. And I already have some of this code written, so I'm gonna review it with you guys, but I wanna really focus on the back end and how you can get that up and running so you can send these emails out. I think this is pretty common, so this would be something you put on your contact me page. It might be on your personal website. Rather than giving everyone your email, you may want to just let people put something in this form and contact you. And by the way, I'm using this SES CSS, which is this nice little, makes it look like an NES form, I guess. I kind of like it. Now, in the back end, we're going to use AWS. I'm a big fan of Amazon. I work there. So this AWS is the free tier. So if you're looking to sign up for AWS, try out the AWS free tier. It's at Amazon. It's aws.amazon.com/free. And you can get like 12 months free trials and a bunch of stuff for free. So go ahead and do that. And so the first thing we want to do is make sure that we have our Amazon SES set up. And so that's, if you go to amazon.com or aws.amazon.com/SES, you can learn all about Amazon's simple email service. So it allows you a way to create transactional emails, allows you to securely send emails to your customers, marketing emails, bulk email communication. It's also pretty cheap too. Actually, if you click here in the pricing, as of this recording right now, it is a part of the Amazon free usage tier, so you can send a whole bunch of messages for free, but otherwise it's like 10 cents for every 1,000 emails you send. Now in this demo, we're gonna create a Node app and just run it locally that we can send to any of our servers. We're not gonna set up a Lambda or anything, but if you guys are interested in that, leave a comment below. Let me know what other Amazon services you want me to kind of play around with. Okay, so let's take a look at the Amazon console here. So once you log in and you sign up, you'll be access to this Amazon console. To do the setup for the service, you just need to do a couple of things. First, go into IAM, which is your access managed resource. And what you want to do is you want to create a new user. Now, if you're just kind of playing around as a demo, you can use your main user here or whatever user you have. But I like the idea of least privilege, so you create a user that has the least amount of privilege. In this case, I created one called SES user, and in that, I gave it this Amazon SES full access as the policy or permission. So that's the only permissions it has. So we can do that too. It's pretty easy. So click add user, you just need to add a user, I don't know, SES user 2, I guess I'd call it. And then it asks you what kind of access type. So we just need pragmatic access. We're not going to log in with this user to the console. And it gives next permissions. So on this page right here, you want to add some sort of permission so we can use the SES service. So you can do attach existing policies directly. And what I do is I just search for SES. And here it is, the Amazon SES full access. So if you want to be able to send emails, receive emails, you want to use this one. You just check mark it, you click next. Don't worry about adding tags. And then you click create user here. And this will go ahead and give you an access key and a secret key. And I'm not going to show you the secret key. I'll go ahead and delete this after this video is done. But you need to copy both of these, the access key and secret access key, so you can use it later in this tutorial. And like I said, it's a good idea to have the least privilege, so this will only have access to the SES service. So the next thing you want to do is you can go back up to the console, type in SES, and you'll bring it to the Amazon Simple Email Service page. And this is where you're going to do setup. Now, if you're just sending to one email address, you can easily do that. Just go to email addresses here and just type in the email addresses that you want to add. So for this demo, I created an address I want it to be the from and the address it's going to. If you're adding in multiple email addresses, there's actually a configuration you have to do to kind of allow SES to basically send to any email addresses, and you have to approve it. So I'm not going to do that in this one, but I'll put a link to some documentation if you want to send it to like multiple email addresses. But for this one, we're always sending it to one. So all we need to do is click on that email address and add ours in there. So if you've gone this far, you should have created your Amazon account. You should have your access key and all your keys, and you should have added your email address in here. So the next thing we want to do is actually go in and create our app. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to turn off my camera here so you can see the full screen, and we'll start here. So before I started, I actually created this public folder and I added my index file, and we'll look at that in a moment. But what I want to do is in right here, I'm going to do an npm install of some stuff we need to get started. And I'm going to an empty folder other than that public folder. So I'm going to do an npm init. And it's just going to ask me some questions. I'm just going to leave it all default, except I'm going to call App.js for the entry point. Cool. And now I'm going to install a few things. So I'll make this, make this a little bit, let's see here, a little bit bigger. So I'm going to do npm I, and I'm going to install AWS SDK. So since we're using the AWS SDK, we're going to install cores.env express. And yeah, I think that's it. So this will just take a moment. Cool. So we went ahead and install that. And I want to install one developer dependency. I'm going to put -d here. And this is going to be nodemon, so we don't have to, so we can more easily have it watch for changes and have it automatically update with having to stop and restart the server over and over again. Cool. All right. So we're making progress. So the next thing we need to do is we need to add in our app.js file. And so we're going to see if we can create a basic Express app that, says hello world first. So we're going to do Express from Express. And then we're going to import in cores from cores. And we'll create a new app. And by the way, I need to go to my package.json. Since we're using this ESM type of imports, I'm going to put type equals module. If I did that right, oops, type module. Otherwise, it's going to complain to me about it. So I'm going to do const app express. And we're going to do app.use express.json. Type if I can type it right. And we're going to use cores. And for right now, I also want to use, I'm going to use slash here and create a static route. So I can do static. And this will be public, so we should be able to look at that index.html. I'm going to put the port 3000 for now. And I just want to see if it works. So I can do app.get. And then this is a callback. We have a request, a response. And we're just going to console, response dot, we'll do dot send, and we'll do dot status 200, and we'll send a hello world. Okay, and we'll just need to listen. So we're going to listen on that port we just created, and if all goes well, we'll say console log port running on HP localhost. So if we did this all correctly, it should work. Oh, we want to do one more thing. In our package.json, we want to add in something to automatically start it. So I like doing a start here. I'm going to use that node mon that I installed -- watch our app.js file. Cool. So if we go back here, let's do npm start. Does it work? All right, it says it's running a localhost 3000. So let's see if that works. Okay, cool. So it brought up our static file here. That's good. And it's starting a node. And if I look inside, well, what we did here is, I should fix this for a second. I add slash here. So I'm going to put /hello. That might work better. And I'm going to do /hello. Cool. So we see hello world. Our routes are working. Our static route is working. Our static route was actually ran first before this other route was when we had the same slash here. Cool. So the next thing we need to do is create a route for our post so we can possibly send an email. So that shouldn't be too hard, but let's create a new folder, and we're going to call it routes.router.js. Oops, I always mess this up. I should do it the other way here. Do it through a file name. So if I do new file, I can do routes.router.js. Sweet. So from this one, I'm going to import Express from Express again. And I'm going to have this new router, and it's going to be from express.router. And I need the AWS SDK. So what we're doing here is we're going to create a route that all it does is send emails out based on some JSON that it receives. And that's pretty much it. So we're going to do US East 2. And so I need to do a router.post. And so this will do a post, and I'm going to do it /email. And we need a callback here. So we'll do request response. All right, so let's create this route here. And we're going to grab email, message, and name out of it. So we're going to send all three of these over as JSON. And then we want to basically send the information over. So I'm going to create a new function here. I'm going to call it SES test. And I'm going to have an email to, email from, a message, and a name. So we're going to assume that we're going to send an email, but we're also going to get some messages from our front end on some of the information. So we're going to create some params. And this is the object that are essentially what our Amazon backend expects. So we need something called a destination. And inside, I keep getting auto-completed here, but this works. We're going to have a 2 addresses. And I'm going to send in that to the email 2. It's an array of addresses. And then I'm going to have a message. And that message is going to have a body. And that body is going to be what we send. Now, in this body right here, we can send HTML, we can send CSS, or HTML or text. I'm just gonna do text, so we just do text like this. And inside here, we're gonna have data, and we're gonna do from contact, and I'll put something like this, and I'll put name, plus I'm going to have a new line and then a message. So it's not I could have used template literals here, but this works. And then after the message, after this body here, I need to add in a subject. And that subject will also have data. So I'm going to put in name, colon, and it's going to be the email from. And actually, this is an object. All right, so we have a message, body, text, data, subject. And then right after here, right after message, we have source. And this is going to be the email address that we kind of want everything to say it's coming from. So I'm going to put in right here this icystorm@gmail.com. So this is one of like an email address I have. And then at the end of this, I'm going to return SES send email. And I'm going to send in the params as the object, and it's going to return a promise that I'm going to use later here. And by the way, I want to export default router. And now since we have this SES test, I should be able to use it up here. So I'm going to do this SES test. And this is the email I'm sending to. So I'm going to send it to this icystorm@gmail.com as well. And then I send in the email, the message, and the name. And now this is then a bool. So I could await this, but I'm just going to, just to be a little different, I'm going to create this then here. And we're going to, if it successes, we're going to say, got this back, and then val, and then res.send successful. Otherwise, we're going to catch the error, and we're going to respond with an error, /error, and we're going to send the error along, and I think that's it. Oops, I have a quick error I want to fix. I have this data here. This is actually not an object. Oops. Okay, so now it's saved, and also this source email, we might change this because sometimes if you send an email and the email source is the same one as this one, Gmail kind of complains, but we'll take a look at it in a second. All right, so now we have this router and we're using this SES test to basically construct this object that we send over to the send email. We're just using text. And then we basically use the promise here, and then we submit a message that says it's successful, everything goes okay. So inside this app.js file, we want to import that in. So I'm going to import router from routes./routes/router JS. And you don't need the JS there. You can do router here. And then I can simply use app.use router. We'll put that right here. And that should be it. The route should be working now. Oh, I do have an error. So actually it does seem to want me to put the router.js in. So I'm going to do that. .js, save it. Okay, so I have no errors. I'm just gonna restart the server just in case. And now to test this out, first, before we connect the front end up, I'm gonna use Postman, but you can use whatever you want to send a message over. So here's Postman. So we're going to do a post in Postman. We're going to do HTTP localhost 3000, and then we'll do /email, and we're going to do a body. We're going to do raw, and I'm going to make sure it's application.json, and then we just need to put in what we need here. Now, if you saw when I was writing the code, if we go back to our router file, we have, it expects an email, message, and name. So we'll do email, and let's say test@test. So this is assuming someone filled out the form correctly and they just put an email in. Name, we'll put in John Smith. And then message, this is a message test for YouTube. So if I did this all correctly, I'll send it and it should come back with no errors. So let's see, we'll send. Cool, it says successful. So the real thing we need to do is to check to see if we received the email. So I'm on my other screen here, I'm looking. Nice, okay, so I'm gonna pull this over. So this is what I got from my Gmail. You can see here that I have, I get this big message because I noticed that this is a message test from YouTube. This message may be spoofed, but I can get rid of this message as long as I have a different return address. So let's try that out. So I'm gonna come back over here, come back to the code, and I'm just gonna use my different for the source, I'm going to use a different one than from. So you can see here I'm sending this to Icy Storm, but I'm going to say the source is from, let's say Erik blog@gmail.com. So this is another email I have. I have dozens of emails, trust me. I don't always check them. And I'm actually not watching on this file, so I'm going to restart it again. By the way, you can see here that the last request went through. And let's see if it works. So I'm going to open up Postman again. Okay, here's Postman. And this time I'm going to do, this is a message 2. And I'm going to send. Cool, says it's successful. I'm going to check my other screen here. Awesome, so I have it. I'm going to bring it over. Cool, so this is a contact John Smith. This is message 2, and now I don't have any errors or any big messages from Gmail warning me. Awesome. So let's see if we can get this connected to the front end so people could use it. Now, if you already saw, if you go to / I already have this HTML page I created. And let me show you what it looks like. So if I go into, let's see, this index.html page, this is what it looks like. I essentially am using 2 copies of Unix, should only have 1. I'm using Vue.js, I'm using this NES and CSS, and I just have simple HTML. I do have a submit prevent, so anytime you submit the form, it goes into submit here. I just ask for your name and email, and I have some copied, commented out code, which I'll delete. And then I have the message here, and that's really it. So it's just really simple HTML, and I have a handful of CSS here. And so anytime you send a message, the submit event gets triggered, and then I'm using this object.fromEntries to grab the data out of it. If you're not familiar with this, I actually did a whole video on why you don't need to use vModel in your Vue apps. And you can even use this just plain HTML, CSS, JavaScript without Vue at all. But I just wanted to, I just left Vue in there because I'm used to it. So I'm grabbing the name, email, message out, and then I'm using the show modals, which is showing this modal dialog. And then what I want to do next is actually submit it. So let's see if we can do this. I went ahead and commented this out, but we can uncomment it and try it out. So we need to send a message to http localhost 3000/email. It's type method post, and we're using just good old await fetch. And we'll need to make sure this is async. Otherwise this won't work. And then content type application JSON. And now we need to kind of format the data just like we did with the Postman. So we had 3 pieces of data it needs: and name, which is this .name, email, which is this .email, and message, which is this .message. And then we can retrieve the JSON back and just console log it out. Got back JSON. Actually, I think it only returns text back, if I remember correctly. I didn't send just JSON, so I'll do text. So let's call this text, and we'll delete this to text. Okay, so if it works correctly, it should send it over. This basically JSON that stringifies can take this object and make it in JSON as we expect it to be sent over in the body. Cool. All right, so let's see if this works. So I'm going to refresh this. I went ahead and updated. Yeah, so index.html, I didn't set up NodeMon to like watch all the files. It's only watching App.js, so I always have to restart it, but that should be fine. Okay, so we're going to open up our inspector here, have our console open, and let's see here. I'm going to do Jack Ruby, and I'm going to put the email address as test@testjackruby.com, and this is from, let's do Jason Ruby, so it doesn't have any, just some random name I just thought of. This is from Jason. Can you please contact me back about, okay. So let's say we had this on our contact form on our website. They click send, message sent, thanks. And then here it is. Here's the message that we just sent. So if this works correctly, and I'll check my other screen, we should have just gotten something. Here it is. So here, I just got this email from Jack Ruby. This is Jason. Can you please contact me about? So cool. So I got the message sent over. Everything's working correctly. Cool. And now we have this neat little contact form. Now there's other ways of doing this if you didn't want to use Amazon. There's Node Mailer. There's a whole bunch of others. Oh, and it looked like we got back this promise too. Looks like it's still pending. And so there's a whole bunch of other ways to do this. I like this because it was just pretty simple. You just have to know the format of using Amazon SES to do it. One thing to keep in mind is that this form, I'm not clearing any of the data from these, so I guess I could do that if it succeeds. I could do this dot, email, and this dot message, and this dot name. I can set these back to nothing, so like it clears the data out of here. But also realize that someone could try to like send this a million times and they could find your endpoint and just send it over and over again. There's a couple of ways you can get around that. You can do rate limiting. There's packages on your backend that you'd want to look at for Express that rate limits, so that way someone can't send a million messages a second, and you can rate limit by IP. I think you can even set up something in Amazon. We could even, if you want to be more fancy, you can use the API gateway in Amazon and then use a Lambda and then rate limit and do all that through there. You could add a CAPTCHA here that would allow, so if someone is just unsophisticated and they just want to hit send over and over again and copy and paste in the form, you can have a CAPTCHA here that they have to do, and you can use Google CAPTCHA or any of the others. So there's definitely ways of preventing people from like spamming your contact form box. I don't know. I think it doesn't happen too often, unless your website's really popular. But so just keep that in mind. Let me know if you have any questions. Take care. Bye.